Alright guys, next we're going to work on the showcase area now that we have our nav bar up here. So right under the nav, let's put a comment and let's just say header showcase. We're going to use the HTML5 semantic header tag and let's actually give it an ID of showcase. Oops, we don't want to do that. This doesn't make any sense, does it? ID equals showcase. Okay, so in here we're going to have a class of showcase-content. Okay, I want to wrap all the content in that div because this is actually going to be a flex container. Even though the elements are going to be in a column going vertical, we're still going to use flex here. And then we're going to put an H1, and I want this H1 to be extra large, so I'm actually going to have a utility class called L-heading. And you're going to see a lot of similarities through our projects, just the ways that I name utility classes and so on. And I mean, you might come up with different things, but I think everyone has, you know, their core class names, just the way that they do things. Everyone's different, and I'm kind of showing you mine, and you can adapt it or you can use your own. It's, you know, whatever you feel comfortable with. So we're going to say the sky is the limit, and underneath the H1 let's put a paragraph. I'm going to use the class of lead, and we're going to say lorem 15. We'll put 15 words in here, and under the paragraph we're going to have an A tag with the class of btn so we can style it, and it's going to go to ID of what, and we're just going to say read more. Okay, so they'll just click it and it'll take them to the what we do section. So let's save this, and this looks like this for now. So let's head over to our style sheet, and let's see, let's add a comment. We'll say showcase. Okay, so we're gonna style the showcase area. Let's start off with the showcase ID itself. So for that we're going to add a background. This is where we want to add the background image. So let's do a color of 333, and then we'll do the URL. We'll do the image over it, which is going to be, we want to go .. because right now we're in the CSS folder. We need to navigate out of it and then into the image folder, and then we want showcase.jpg. Okay, and then after that, I'm probably going to have to make this a little bigger. After that, let's do a no repeat, and we also want to do center, and we want it to cover the entire area. Now we've gone over this before when we looked at VH units. It's only going to cover the content. Okay, so as far as the content reaches, which is to this link, it's going to cover that, but we want it to cover the whole viewport as far as the height goes. So let's say we want the height to be 100 VH and save, and now it's going to cover the whole viewport. Now it is going to go a little lower because we have the menu above it, so it's basically going to add that spacing there, which I don't see a problem. You could add a negative margin if you wanted to kind of pull it up a little bit and replace the menu here, but I'm not going to do that. I think that this is fine. And then let's make the color of everything white that's inside the showcase. Alright, so now we'll do the showcase content. I'm just going to make this a little smaller again. Actually, let me make sure this isn't, what's the size of it? No, that should be fine. We'll make this a little smaller. Alright, so let's do the showcase content. So we have the ID showcase, and then we have the class of showcase content. So like I said, we're going to display flex. Now as soon as I save that, the default is to do a flex row, which is horizontal. Now we don't want that. We want a column, so we're going to add in flex direction column. As soon as I do that, it'll go back to being vertical. Now we want to align the item's center both vertical and horizontal. So we want it centered this way and this way. So we're going to use both justify content text align and align items. Okay, so let's first do the text. So text align center. Okay, and then we're also going to do align dash, actually let's do justify first. So justify content center. Now if I do align dash items center and save, notice that it didn't center it vertically. The reason for that is there's no height on the flex container, the showcase content. There is a height on the showcase, which is 100 viewport heights, but not on the actual flex container. So we do have to add a height here. And for the height, I'm going to say I want it to be 100% of its container. So 100% of the showcase, which is 100 viewport heights. Once I save that, then it will go to the middle or to the center. And let's see, I'm also going to add some padding here. Let's do padding 0, and then let's do 2 rem on the left and right. And yeah, let's save that. So that should bring it away from the sides a little bit. Now, for the overlay, we're going to basically we're going to position this absolute so that we can cover the entire thing, the entire showcase content. So let's put a comment here and say overlay. And let's do position absolute. And let's say we want the height, we already did 100% height. Let's set, basically we want it to start, let's see, let's do top. Now if I do top 0, this is the thing, since it's absolute, top 0 is going to start at the very top, meaning above the nav bar. So let me just show you. We'll do top, bottom, or let's just do top, left, 0. And let's add a background dash color. And we can use RGBA. So this is red, green, blue, alpha. Basically, we can do RGB, so the red, green, blue values, and then alpha is actually the transparency. Okay, so I want it to be black with a transparency which goes between 0 and 1. So 0, 0.1, 0.2, all the way up to 1, which is no transparency at all. So black would be all zeros, red, green, blue. And then the opacity, or the alpha, transparency, whatever you want to call it, if we said 1 and we save, it's just gonna, there's no transparency at all. If I do 0.9, it'll be a little bit transparent, as you can see. I want 0.4, I think that's a good value. And now notice that it's darker over the image, but the text isn't. Okay, so if we just set an opacity value on the showcase content, the text would also have that opacity, and we don't want that. We only want the background to have it. Now, as you can see, there's some area here that's not covered, and that's because of the nav bar. The way that we did this to incorporate the sticky menu, we have to kind of add a couple, well, they're not really hacks, but just extra things that we have to do. So instead of doing top 0, I'm going to say top 65 pixels, because that's the exact number of pixels of the menu. So let's save that, and now you can see that it goes all the way. Actually, I think I did it a little too much. Let's do 60. See how we have this little spacing up here? 63, no, 60. And yeah, so that should be good. Now we have the overlay. Once we have our responsive, our mobile.css, we'll have to tweak it a little bit in the media query, because the menu will reach down further. Because remember, the links get put under the logo. And if you don't want to have the overlay, that's fine. If you don't want to deal with the extra properties and hassle, you don't have to, but I think it makes the text a little more readable. So next thing I want to do is this content here, which we have a bunch of utility classes. The heading has a class of L-heading, so let's go up to where our utilities are, and let's add L, or class of L heading. And let's see, the font size for the L heading is going to be 4 rem. 4 rem. So I save that. That gets much bigger. Let's do a margin bottom. And for the margin bottom, let's do 0.75 rem. And then I also want a line height of 1.1. So we'll save that. And if something I do, if it doesn't look right to you, like if you want less margin or more margin or padding or something, feel free to mess with it. And then this paragraph has a class of lead. So let's add our class of lead here. And I'm going to set the font size. Remember, 1 rem is 16 pixels. I'm going to do 1.3 rem. Make it a little bigger. And then let's add some margin bottom. Let's do 2 rem margin bottom. Okay, and then this has a class of BTN. So let's do BTN. And I want it to display as an inline block. And I want to add some, actually let's do the color. So the color is going to be white, and then the background is going to be that green color, which is hexadecimal, and it's going to be 93C B52. Okay, so we'll save that. We also want some padding. For the padding, I'm going to do 0.5 rem top and bottom, and 2 rem left and right. And let's do a border none, because if we happen to add this class to an actual button, that's not a link. Those have borders, but we want to remove them. But we do want rounded corners, so let's do border radius 5 pixels. And there we go. Now I do want to have a hover state so that it changes a little bit on hover. So let's go right under it and let's say BTN hover. And let's set background to, now the background is just going to be a bit lighter than that green. I think it's lighter, it might be darker, but it's 7AB436. Okay, and that's all we want, is to change the background. And yeah, so if I hover over it, it gets a little darker. Now I'm also going to add a BTN dark class and give that a background of dark gray and a color of white. Okay, in case we want to use that class later. So I think that's it for the showcase area. Actually, one more thing I wanted to add on that I forgot was a line height for the body. So I'm going to do line height 1.4. All right, that'll just, I think it looks cleaner because it separates the lines a little bit. But in the next video, we're going to start on the boxes. Okay, so we're going to use Flex for that as well. And we may move on to the next section. We'll see how much time we have. All right, so I'll see you in the next video.
Living life, every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days. Fuck me, I'm looking in the mirror, so foggy, but I've never seen clearer.